Okay, guys, what we're going to work on today is the warm-up. It's going to be I call it the ASAP, which just means as soon as possible. So essentially, when you guys get in here, you guys, middle schoolers will eat your snacks. Elementary kids will be lining up right into your lane spots, and we'll talk a little bit about what's on the message board, and then we'll get right into the ASAP as soon as possible. This warm-up here, guys, I have it broken down basically into a 2-minute jog. It's just 2 minutes is usually about that minimum time you need to kind of get the blood flowing, to warm up your body, loosen up your joints a little bit, get some good blood flow. Then we're going to go into a series of movement patterns, okay? The movement patterns that we're going to do this first quarter are going to be jump, rapid jump, and honestly, I probably could have even flip-flopped those. It doesn't matter. I went back and forth. But jump, rapid jump, and gallop, okay? So these are some movements that we're going to be doing. There's also a little bit of strength in there, of learning how to jump and doing it over a series is going to create some strength. And then to me, the more the strength exercises come next, like the squats, the sit-ups, the planks. Those 3 things are going to be more for strength and for core work. And then at the very end, we're always going to jump rope. Jumping rope is a little bit of a cardio workout, but it's also a coordination workout. All right, we can coordinate our hands and our feet and learn tempo. Okay, we're going to learn tempo. So that's what we're going to do today. Before I get too far into it, though, I want to talk about the locomotor skills. Basically, there's 8 of them. I'm not going to talk about all 8 of them today. The ones that we're going to really focus on here is going to be the gallop and the jump. Basically, a locomotor skill is moving the body from place to place or projecting your body upward. Example would be a jump, a hop, and I have 2 of those there. Any questions on locomotor skills? So those are the ones we're going to work on this first quarter. Non-locomotor skills. These are skills that are performed without moving from place to place. Example, bending, pushing, pulling, level changes, twisting, okay? Those are non-locomotor skills. It's good to know the difference between the two, and that's something I want to teach all of our remote learners. You guys can do a little research on that as well. Find other different skills that would apply to either locomotor or non-locomotor skills. We're going to talk a lot in my gym class about core strength, okay? We need to learn how to engage our stabilizers around our spine. For my older kids that I have in class right now, guys, this becomes very important as you get into high school, okay? We talked yesterday about healthy, staying on the field. Okay, we do that through mobility and flexibility movements and exercises so that we are always limber. But we also have to strengthen our core as we start training with weights. We start doing resistance movements. The core is the center of our body. Everything works from the core out. And so learning how to stabilize our spine is very important. And if everybody right now just reaches and just kind of touches their belly button. And all I want you to do if you have your belly button, put on your hand on your belly button. Just pull your belly button towards your spine. Just lightly, not too hard. The way you're doing it is like you're about ready to lift 500 pounds off the ground. So it's just a slight tug. I learned this years ago from a physical therapist that worked in Europe with Olympic athletes. And like she says, she goes, here's the thing, you're going to get to the point to where you'll be having a conversation and you'll have your core engaged, but it takes practice. As I'm talking to you right now, my core is engaged. So if I had to really quickly reach down and pick up something, I'm probably not going to hurt my back. Now, you're young, it doesn't happen very often in young people. As you get older, that's when you're like, oh, there goes my lower back. Okay, but we want to keep your back strong at all times. So learning to just slight tug. Now, I was going to pick up something heavy. This isn't too heavy, but so if I'm going to pick something heavy off the ground, I'm going to bend my knees, I'm going to grab where I need to grab, and I'm going to pull my belly button really tight now, like what you were doing earlier. And then I'm going to lift with my legs, my belly button's pulled in as tight as I can, keeps my core nice and strong, and then I can go ahead and move that object. Okay, so that belly button will be pulled in really tight. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but that's what we want to work on. We want to build our core strength. We're going to do that with starting off with plank work. Eventually, we're going to work into some push-ups and whatnot. That's good stuff. Okay, now the last thing we're going to talk a lot about, guys, is plyometric versus isometric. Who in here can raise your hand and tell me? Did we do this last time? Yeah. I did with you kids. Kids, remote learners. Plyometric exercise movements are movements are when we do exercises with movement. So for example, a push-up. A push-up would be a plyometric movement, because we're actually moving our body as we're exercising. An isometric movement would be a plank. I'm still exercising, because if I hold this long enough, it's going to start to get tough. I'm pulling my belly button up to my spine, to my core, keep my stabilizers tight. This is isometric, not moving. Plyometric, squat. Isometric, a wall sit. Not moving, but still getting exercise, engaging my muscles. We're good here. So, let's talk quickly about the warm-up. Remote learners, this is something I expect you to do every time you log in for a PE class when it's your time. I expect you guys to do the full warm-up. You're going to have to find some space in your yard, maybe in your basement. You're going to need about 30 feet. I suppose if you don't have that, you can always do it in place, and that's okay too. So the first thing we do is jog, okay? When we're jogging, guys, jogging is simple. We're just basically jogging from heel to toe, keeping a nice rhythmic pace, eyes forward, chest up proud, arms swinging opposite of our legs, okay? I don't want to get too far because of the video. It's just nice and easy, but we want to make sure that we're not going too hard. We want to sustain an easy pace so that we don't get into an aerobic state. It's just more about a warm-up, okay? Arms swinging by our sides. The next exercise we're going to do is a jump. And you guys can work on this in your spots if you want. That's fine. So, the things I want us to all learn about a jump. This is an explosive movement that requires a lot of energy. We're going to have our feet maybe in line with our hips, maybe slightly wider. The first thing I want everyone to learn how to do is engage their hips. So we're going to load our hips back. Everybody push your booty back. Remember, this is our hips, this is our booty. Don't get them confused. So here's our hips. We're going to push our hips back, chest up. Good. Everybody do this right now. Okay, good. Now, the next thing, we got our hips loaded, toes are forward, chest is proud. We're going to coil those arms back to create some momentum in our jump. We're going to jump hard, but land soft. Load, coil, jump. That wasn't the softest landing of all time, but I am getting a little, we're going to land soft. Notice I bent my knees on my land, okay? So, what I want you to think when you're doing your jumping, you're going to jump from, in this room, it's from volleyball line to volleyball line, which is about 30 some odd feet. You're going to think, load, coil, jump. Load, coil, jump. Load, coil, jump. Load the hips, coil the arms, jump. Any questions? Rabbit jump. Rabbit jump is going to be a little different. Now we're going to move a little faster. We're going to start with our feet together. We're going to be on the balls of our feet. Remember the three parts of our feet. You have the heel, the arch, and then up towards our toes is the ball of our foot. We're going to be up on the ball of our feet, utilizing our calves mainly now instead of our quadriceps and our hamstrings. So on the balls of our feet, we're just going to, nice and light, quick. Okay? We want to be quick here. This is more about speed. Everything we do in sports, in a lot of ways, we're using the balls of our feet. Okay? Certainly anything with jumping. Any questions on rabbit jumps? Cool. So now we start to warm up. We got the jog. We got some big power movements with the jump. We got the rabbit jump. Now the gallop. We're going to slow it down and work on some coordination skills there. With the gallop, you're always going to have one foot as a lead foot, and you're going to have a trailing foot. And we're basically just replacing the lead foot with the trail foot. We're going to go heel to toe, and our back foot just kind of comes in right behind it. It's a very linear motion. We'll switch up our lead foot on the way back, so heel to toe. The back foot is just basically on the ball of your foot, and it's just a gallop. Okay? We're not trying to go too fast. We don't have to go too high. It's more a rhythm. It's more rhythm. You guys want to, well, we can try that in the middle. Kids at home, if you have any questions, send me a note on Google Classroom. I'll see if I can help walk you through that. So that's gallop. Now, we move into our, and as you can see, I got down and back 2 times. So it's about 30 feet down, 30 feet back or so-ish. So try to do that 2 times. Figure it out in your yard or wherever. Squats. talked a little bit about this in the jump. It's kind of the same idea. On a squat, we're gonna start with our feet slightly wider than our hips, okay? You don't want them too narrow, you can. Okay, you don't want them too wide, you can if you want to. I like to teach somewhere moderate, somewhere in the middle, okay? So, slightly wider than our hips. Now, we're gonna get the power from the ground, okay? It's all part of that kinetic chain, right? We gotta get power from the ground through our feet, through our ankles, through our knees, through our hips, through our core, through our trunk, then out the other part of our arms, through shoulders, arms, and whatnot. But here, getting power through the ground, keeping the heels down. The first thing we're gonna do with the squat is we're gonna make sure that we keep our chin up, chest proud. We're going to engage our hips by pushing our booty back. So everybody do this again. It's kind of like that jumping. Push the booty back. Come on, let's go. Let's see it. You guys have to learn, not like this. The other thing I want you guys to remember is the knees have to always follow the toes. That's too wide. Here, Haley Joe, just bring them in a little bit more narrow. There you go, a little bit, not so wide. There you go, not so wide. Okay, let's just learn how to do it. A basic squat here first, just slightly wider than your hips, your feet. Push the hips back, chest stays proud. You can have your hands out front for balance. And all we're gonna do now is bend our knees, get our booty between our legs. Make sure your knees stay behind your toes. You should be able to lift your toes up from this point. The weight's on our heels. And then we're gonna come right back up. So load the hips, bend the knees, drop your booty, chest stays proud, and then right back. Okay? We'll practice it. It's important, guys, for my middle schoolers, now for my elementary kids, when we start lifting with weight, it's so important we learn to keep our weight back. I know we just talked about how we're on the balls of our feet a lot in sports, and that is true. But when we're weightlifting, we want to make sure the weight stays over our heels to our hips. As soon as it starts coming forward, that's when we start to collapse our back, our core, we lose our strength in our core, and we get hurt. Again, for kids at home, we're still engaging our core the whole time. Make sure, don't forget that, that's still the basic thing. Bringing that belly button into our spine. Any question on squat? One of my favorite movements to learn. Okay, and then we're gonna do a sit-up. At home, you guys can do full sit-ups or we can do crunches. Essentially, if we're gonna do a crunch, we're basically we're gonna be on our back, heels down. We're gonna try to keep our shoulder blades off the ground. You're gonna put your hands on your legs, call this the mountaintop here. And all we're gonna do is we're going to engage our abdomen muscles, push our hands up the mountains. Hold for a second and back down. Do not let your shoulder blades hit the ground. We want to keep tension on our abdomen the whole time. And then back up. Breathe on the way down. Exhale on the way up. I should have talked about breathing earlier. My bad. Breathe on the way down. On the way up. So that's a crunch. We want to do a full sit-up. We're going to go ahead. Everything else stays the same. Your hands can be behind your head. I don't like really torquing on our neck, you guys. And this is for all you guys too. We keep them back here somewhere, and all we're going to do is just bring our chest up to our legs, back down, slow, up, heels and feet stay to the ground, just like this. And this is hard on my tailbone because I'm a little bit older. But that's why we have mats too. If we need mats, if you're a little bit younger, it may not bother you as much. So we're going to be doing our sit-ups, and then the last thing before we get into the jump rope is plank. I'm going to teach you guys, there's two types of planks, a high plank and a low plank. So the high plank is basically the start of a push-up position. We're basically just going to have our fingers facing forward, toes together, back is nice and flat, eyes are going to look down between our hands so that we keep our back real straight. We don't want to saggy back like this. You pull that belly button up to the spine, just like I taught you earlier about pulling that belly button to your spine. Okay, that every time you start to feel tired, kids, pull your belly button up. Okay, and we don't want to be up here like this. We're not trying to show off our booties. Okay, we don't want to be up this way either. Nice and straight, like if somebody, like a table. Okay, like if someone put a piece of wood across your back. This is a high plank. This is a low plank when we come down to our forearms. Okay? There's really no difference. They're both tough and challenging. Alright? Here's our low plank position. And again, high plank. But I want you guys to work on high planks. And we're going to be doing the high plank for 30 seconds. For the elementary kids, for you guys, 1 minute. I know you can do it. And I've got a 5-minute plank workout that incorporates a few things, challenges. I think some of you guys did it with me last year. And I did it a couple different times. Not easy, not easy. Okay, so plank, again, great core exercise. Isometric work. And then the last one is rope jump, okay? We're gonna have my jump rope here. So these are all too short for me. I do have my jump rope, but I've actually brought it home after last spring. I forgot to bring it back. So I will bring my jump rope in next time and I'll do a jump rope demonstration. For those of you guys at home that followed me over the summer, I have a really good, I think it's a 20-minute jump rope workout. Did you guys see that workout I put on YouTube? Maybe I'll show that for you guys. You can watch a little bit and I tell you, I give you an example of how we want to jump rope. So kids at home, have fun with the ASAP. This is the warm-up. I expect you guys to do this every time you tune in for PE. Thanks for your time, guys.